How's everybody doing this afternoon? Jim Sinacropi here with you inside the FingerLakes1.com studios, where overnight the Finger Lakes region received some severe thunderstorms, heavy rainfall. None worse, though, than Penn Yan, and anybody who's seen any of the images or videos or reports out of Penn Yan, certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to the residents of Penn Yan today. It's hard to believe the devastation that 5 inches of rain can do, and that's about what they got in Penn Yan. So the scary part is that there's more rain coming, and to talk about that, we've got FL1 staff meteorologist Drew Montreuil with us on the line holding, and then we also have in studio with us Tiffany Collinsworth. Hi, Tiffany. And busy morning for us news folks today. Yes. With so much going on. In Penn Yan, and what are your thoughts on just the when you woke up this morning and started covering? Or you were probably up real early when it was still raining.
Yeah, it was still raining, and you come in, it's raining, but you don't obviously realize how severe it is until it's made aware to you by who's already down there reporting from the scene, obviously. And when the first pictures started coming in, you're just like,
yeah, I mean, because you don't think that you think here in the Finger Lakes that we're pretty much shielded from severe weather events, like we see tornadoes in the Oklahoma and earthquakes, and here in the Finger Lakes we get a lot of snow, but we're used to that. But something like this is happening more and more frequently, and when I look at Penn Yan, it's like any community in the Finger Lakes. It's almost a sister community to here in Seneca Falls, about the same size, and so it hits home, and certainly and
we all know people down there.
Right.
Yeah, it's not they're not that far off that we don't know who's down there. We don't know people down there. I mean, there are efforts to make sure that everyone is safe. They do have at the academy a shelter set up for everybody to go to. And they're trying to help each other out, but the question is, when do you start the cleanup? Because, I mean, when we talk to Doug, he's going to talk about the additional rain that we have coming through the Finger Lakes region, and it could just devastate that area just that much more. Do you start it now? Do you wait until you see what happens? Or just wondering what the next steps are.
Right. Yeah. And you do have to, I think they definitely have an eye towards the storm moving in later today. And with that, I'd like to bring Drew on. Drew, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm pretty good. How about you, Jen?
Good. Thanks for joining us again. It seems like we talked to you during severe weather events, and so what was your take on this storm as you tracked it throughout the night last night?
Well, there was a lot of different cells all across the Finger Lakes last night. I was actually on Twitter, and I saw the one of the Finger Lakes pages I follow saying that there was some flooding in Penn Yan. That's what kind of first drew my attention to Penn Yan. That was probably around 10 o'clock last night when they'd only gotten about an inch of rain so far. But I saw just off to the west that there were still numerous lines of thunderstorms that had to come through. And once I saw that those storms had to come through and that more just kept redeveloping behind it, I knew that there was potential for something pretty serious going on, but I don't even know if I quite expected it to be quite that bad in Penn Yan.
Well, 5 inches was about the total? Is that what you have for Penn Yan?
Yeah, a lot of the radar estimates were right around the 5 inches. I can't remember exactly what the airport in Penn Yan reported for the official observation. I feel like it was somewhere around 3 inches, give or take half an inch. Yeah, a lot of the radar estimates, Penn Yan over to Branchport, that area, just pretty solid area, 4 or 5, even more inches of rain.
Do you remember the last time anywhere in this area got 5 inches of rain in such a short period of time?
Actually, last summer, we had a couple of times where some areas got pounded very hard. Down towards me, I'm in Groton, of course, down by Ithaca and Cortland, and there was an event in August that I remember that Cortland got about 5 inches of rain in a similar time span, and it flooded the Walmart down there, and it was closed for a few days. Thankfully, not quite the same level of destruction as what happened in Penn Yan. But yeah, we had some of this last year, but before that event last year, we probably have to go back to the big flood in 2011, which was a totally different sort of scenario to get that sort of a rainfall.
So, Drew, obviously they have a break in Penn Yan right now under partly sunny skies, and it could be the calm before the storm. What is the potential for more rain to hit Penn Yan over the next 48 hours, and when do you think it could start?
Well, there's kind of two time frames I'm watching. The first one of those is this afternoon into this evening. Our air mass today is extremely similar to what we had yesterday. It's hot, it's humid, there's just a ton of moisture in the atmosphere. There's a front that's draped over western New York, and that can provide the trigger for the storms to form. So there's definitely the potential for more of what we had last night. It's just the setup that hasn't really moved at all. I am watching. There's a couple storms and showers starting to form in west central Pennsylvania. They're tracking north-northeast towards the Finger Lakes area. It's always difficult to tell exactly where and when a storm will pop up and if it'll hit an individual location. But it does look like the western Finger Lakes, and especially western New York, is under the gun for more storms today. I will say that some of the real high-resolution short-term models had a couple of thunderstorms moving through, but then they seemed to move on out, and there wasn't a whole lot behind that, so it's kind of like one batch of storms. That would be great because then we wouldn't get the repeated heavy rainfall, and that probably wouldn't cause too much additional flooding. The problem will be if more storms end up developing behind that, which is what happened yesterday.
So what time tonight do you think that we should start looking to the sky and expecting that?
Well, like I said, there's already some stuff downstream of us down in Pennsylvania. I don't see any signs of any showers really trying to form at this moment. Right now at 2 o'clock, but from this point on, pretty much any time during the rest of the day, I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing some stuff starting to fire up. It looks like there might be just a tiny bit of an area of low pressure down over Ohio, moving up along the front, and that could spark some storms, and that might be why the models kind of had the storms moving out after they first fire up, is because that low moves up along the front, as opposed to yesterday when there wasn't really anything to kind of pick the storms up and move them along. So if that low is kind of what the models are picking up on, then hopefully we'd only have some storms around during the afternoon, and then by this evening they'd lift up into Canada.
What magnitude are you expecting in terms of inches, or hopefully not to that level, but what kind of magnitude of rain are we talking about for this evening?
Mm-hmm. In any individual storm, so if we have just one cell move over area, rainfall amounts will generally probably be on the order of a half an inch, give or take a bit. It's once we start adding in multiple storms, so if you get hit by 2, 3, 4 of those storms, then you're easily up around 2 inches of rain. So hopefully most of the area will escape today under an inch of rain. That would be really good. But it's really impossible to tell exactly where the storms will form and if they'll go over the same area repeatedly and give those extreme sort of rainfall totals.
Yeah, Drew, and I think that's a problem is we knew thunderstorms were coming last night, and we knew that there was going to be widespread rain, but it's the localized pockets that just get pounded. And in this case, it was, northern Yates County, in Middlesex and And because here in Seneca Falls, we got a solid inch of rain. And
lightning, thunder, yeah, the basic.
But
nothing like they saw.
5 times as much rain as we had here in Seneca Falls is what they got in Penn Yan. And I can't imagine that because it poured here, on and off for most of the night. And when you get that amount of rain in such a short period of time, the infrastructure just can't handle it. And we'll show you some of the images in Penn Yan coming up here. But looking ahead into the weekend, Drew, do you have an early weekend forecast? Are they going to get a break? I know the temperatures are cooling down when this cold front comes in, but is there a potential that Penn Yan and the surrounding areas will get to dry out for a few days?
Tomorrow is looking pretty dry, so that's very good news because Friday is once again looking like the potential for some heavy rain. Instead of thunderstorms with localized heavy rain, on Friday it's looking like a region-wide heavy rain event. Now the models are kind of widely varying on exactly how much rain will fall. Some of them keep it around an inch or less. Some of them, unfortunately, go up to 2-3 inches of rain. And it's in a relatively short time frame, 12 hours or so. And that would be enough to cause more flooding problems if it ended up on that higher range. But once we get through Friday, rain showers are going to stay in the forecast. Just kind of a cool, showery pattern. Saturday, Sunday, right into next week. But none of that rain should be really heavy. It'll just be brief little shower here and there, and the sun might come out briefly and then another shower. So it's not going to be nearly the same rain. So that'll help areas dry out, even though you'll see rain in the forecast, but it's not going to be the same as it will be as it was last night or as it will be Friday or maybe even today.
All right, Drew. Well, thanks for keeping an eye on things and your awesome updates on our FingerLakes1.com Weather Center last night and this morning. And, we'll be keeping an eye, obviously, on the situation in Penn Yan here on FingerLakes1.com. Our top story today is basically a mashup of dozens of photos and videos and eyewitness reports from Penn Yan. And we'll continue to update that throughout the day and night. And then, we'll be watching very closely as the weather moves in later today and hope that that by chance it'll miss Penn Yan because a lot of other areas in the Finger Lakes can take a little rain, but Penn Yan's had all they can take. So Drew, appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today and let our users know what's going on, and we'll be watching the Weather Center for your updated reports.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Drew, thanks. So that was Drew Montreuil, Finger Lakes One staff meteorologist, keeping an eye on things from his office down in Groton. And Tiffany, I want to just take a look at some of these images that I mentioned that were on.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is I woke up this morning. I tracked the storm, went to bed as the rain and thunder was striking in Seneca Falls. And, as soon as you wake up, you hear these reports out of Penn Yan.
Exactly.
And you think, flash flooding, a little flooding in Penn Yan. And then you see the actual photos and you realize it's an absolute disaster area. Now, Governor Cuomo declared a state of emergency. And Senator Schumer's trying to get FEMA aid. And, let's show you some of these. These are images right from our report on Finger Lakes 1. And, here you go. I mean, this is one. I think this
parking lot
may have been one of the first images I saw, and I mean, it looks like a scene out of a
movie.
Yeah, out of a disaster.
And if you
scenario.
Look at some of those pictures and some of the videos that we have posted, it's kind of like night and day. Even right now, you're driving to work, it's sunny, it's beautiful out there. Here, Seneca Falls, Geneva, Waterloo, and then you think about what's going down in Penn Yan, and it's a completely different scenario.
See if I can scroll down here and share some more photos. The mayor of Penn Yan was being interviewed by News Channel 8. And as I mentioned, it was about 6 a.m. that Governor Cuomo issued the state of emergency. Looking here at this graphic that Drew came up with, it shows the storm totals, and as you can see in those heavy purple areas, and that's 5 inches of rain, and everywhere else got heavy rain, but what you'd normally expect around here, and but that swath just got hammered. Branchport, Penn Yan, Middlesex, and if we scroll down a little bit more, you can get some more photos. Here's another photo. Now what you see there to the right is that was a whole building
came down,
and it just came down. And so that's the type of thing that is shocking when you see a boater advisory issued on Keuka Lake today. A lot of debris out there. Here's that's a picture of a semi
on top of a van.
Yeah, which again,
how does that happen? Yep.
I got some more photos coming up. Now here's that building before, as I mentioned, it was before the storm, and and here's the scene after. So you can see, that it basically just swept away half of this 2-story building on Basin Street, in Penn Yan.
And the thing is, Penn Yan's such a heritage town too. It's very old, and not in a bad way. It's a bit large piece of history, and
yeah,
so
like most towns around here.
Yeah, and it just there it is.
So this is the shot of the bridge that leads to Penn Yan High School, damaged by the storm on Tuesday, and a lot of these images coming in from users on Twitter, people with cell phones, citizen journalism. If I could,
best kind.
Yeah, they're on the scene. And here's some neighbors helping out in Penn Yan, trying to get the water moving away from homes and out of yards.
That's what's going to be the saving grace, is the community coming together.
Oh yeah, and anything
Always.
like this, everybody always rallies, and that's
Always.
the bright side of it. Some images here from overnight, not great images, but you could see that rain just kept coming and coming, and to the tune of 5 inches of rain.
Devastating, absolutely devastating. I just hope that they can, if they should get hit again, be able to survive something like this happening to them again. How much more can they take? And really, with like the waterways filling up and overflowing, it rallies the idea of how do you prevent this from happening again.
Yeah, and like you say, we just expected thunderstorms last night, and most of the Finger Lakes, that's what they got. Their first taste of real summertime boomers, running.
Oh yeah, I was excited with the rain and the thunder and the lightning. I love watching the storm, and then you're like, oh, now I feel guilty.
Yeah.
Look at what happened.
Well, if you're in Penn Yan, last night it starts and it just doesn't stop, and then all of a sudden I think you realize, man, there's a serious problem here. There's water filling up the streets. There's concrete or asphalt driveways just getting torn up. Look, here's another shot of that semi tractor, and this is the one that I just can't believe. This is like Katrina in New Orleans type of stuff here. When you see a tractor trailer like that just on its side, and
it's like a feather lifted away.
Sure, it just shows the power of Mother Nature. Now here's a home damaged by the flood, and this is actually a shot on Clinton Street in Penn Yan. And the unfortunate thing about this, probably the biggest tragedy, and we've heard it before in flooding issues, is that a lot of these people weren't insured. They didn't have flood insurance, because around here normally
who expects it to happen.
Yeah, and so you try to save a little money, or maybe even the insurance agent doesn't advise it. They get that, and so some of these folks might not be covered, and these will obviously be some of the issues that they'll be working out, over the upcoming weeks and months. But that's the other foot drop, and you endure this, and then you may not have the funding to return to normal. So urge everybody to review their homeowner's policy, because like I said, last night when folks from Penn Yan went to bed, everything's fine.
Good,
Wake up the next morning to a disaster. And so let's see.
Crazy how such little time can change everything. Absolutely everything.
And again, like I mentioned, this is stuff we see happen in other places.
Yeah.
Not here in upstate New York.
Well, you always think that, don't you? Oh, that stuff will never happen here, and then it's that moment that finally does. It always happens that way. Never thought anything like this would happen here.
No, absolutely.
It's a hearing you say hearing you hear all the time.
Right. Well, as I mentioned, thoughts are with the residents of Penn Yan and
Yes.
Yates County, and hoping for a lot of volunteers and people helping out down there.
Oh yeah.
And here at Finger Lakes 1, we'll be tracking the storm on our Weather Center page. Drew will have updates throughout the night, and then we're going to keep posting images from Twitter, videos, eyewitness accounts on our top story at Finger Lakes 1 through the afternoon and night. And basically, if you are in Penn Yan, like I say, we're thinking about you. If you're not in Penn Yan, think about the fact that maybe this could happen, in your neighborhood, and review your homeowner's insurance is pretty important. Then also, look at things like drainage in your yard, things that you can do, and I'm sure that local departments of works personnel throughout the region are also looking at their old, outdated infrastructure and wondering what would have happened if they got 5 inches of rain.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, Tiffany, thanks for sitting in with me, and thanks to Drew Montreuil again. I'm Jim Sinacropi for FingerLakes1.com, and hopefully stay dry over the next 24 to 48 hours. And we'll have all your coverage on our homepage right here at FingerLakes1.com.